Datsun lives! Sort of. How did I do it? Find out this week on Throttle Grotto. The Datsun lives, and it's kind of smoky in here right now, but it idles great. And I screwed up a lot of stuff along the way. So this episode, I'm going to break all that down, and I've got the garage doors open because it's kind of smoky in here. But I'm going to break down all the stuff I screwed up on getting this thing running. So let's get to it. Alright, as you can tell, it's still a little smoky in here, but I have a garage door open and I have the main door open, so don't worry about me perishing in this in this fog right now. I've got some air moving through here because it's kind of stanky, but I'm super excited because the Datsun ran, and I got to give some thanks to one of my Instagram followers, Feng Shui the 510. Came out yesterday and helped me work through some of the issues that I was just overlooking on this car. So if you're on Instagram and you like Datsuns, go give him a follow because he's got a lot of really great 510 content on his Instagram. So I'll put a link down below so you can click on that and go right to his Instagram. So yes, one of the hazards of a car not running in a long time is the exhaust. The exhaust is going to kick stuff quite a bit, quite a ways. You can see it all over the garage door. Definitely got all the creeper. It's all over the floor. So something to consider if you're going to fire up a car that's been sitting for a long time. It's going to make a mess on the backside, unless the exhaust is rotten off, and then you don't have to worry about it. What should you do if you're trying to get a car like this that's been off the road for a long time and you want to get it back on the road and running? So some of the steps I went through the carbs. So I pulled the float bowls off the carbs, and so I apologize for the lighting here. It's not the greatest. So here's the float bowls on the SU carbs. There's 4 screws on each one of the float bowls that hold those on. Take the lids off, and then you can see right down. If you guys watched the cleaning out the carbs video, you'll know more about that. But definitely taking the carbs apart and cleaning out the float bowls, making sure that the needles move, make sure the pistons move. All that is really good to do before you start one of these. Before you start a car that's been sitting for a long time. I also replaced all the fuel lines. So rubber fuel lines are cheap, and they're cheap insurance. So I would say first thing to do, replace all the rubber fuel lines. That way you don't have any risk of fire from that, and it's something preventable. So I did that. Another thing that I did is I ordered on Amazon. I bought this little $10 right here, this little $10 electric fuel pump, because the fuel pump on this car, figure out where I put my flashlight so I can give you guys more light. So the fuel pump on this car is right there, and it says Kyosan Denki, which is the original manufacturer fuel pump. So I didn't have a lot of trust that a 50-year-old fuel pump was actually delivering the fuel needed to make this engine run. And so bypassing that system temporarily gave me peace of mind that, and it's one of those things, if you're going to go rescue a barn find car and you want to get it running right away, buy one of these little $10 fuel pumps on Amazon, keep it in your toolbox. I'm actually going to keep this electric fuel pump like in a little parts box in the trunk in case the fuel pump on here does die. Then I can at least get the car home. Now I'm going to order a rebuild kit for the factory fuel pump, and I'm going to use it, but you know, in case the diaphragm ruptures in that fuel pump, I've got a backup. So a good thing to have in your little parts kit with your car. Now we'll get to the distributor. The distributor is where I made all my mistakes. But they were actually minor ones. So I'm going to pull the distributor cap off. I'm not going to like play around with the distributor right now because I still haven't set engine timing and all that stuff, but I kind of want to wait to do that till I can actually open the garage and let it run for a while. I still need to reinstall the fan on the front of the engine and go through the cooling system, at least drain it, probably replace some of these hoses because who knows when the last time these hoses were replaced. So preventative maintenance, making sure that this thing will be reliable once I get it out on the road. The distributor was the cause of all of my problems, and they were mostly self-inflicted. So when I took the oil pump drive out, which is way down here at the bottom, you can see there's a 10mm bolt right down there, and inside of there is a worm drive gear that drives a distributor, driven by the oil, or drives the oil pump, and driven by an intermediate shaft that runs this way across the engine. So when I took it out to find the oil pump, I didn't notice what position it was in, and caused myself a lot of problems that way. So in here we have new points, which, if you're not familiar with points, are the way that the air in a fuel, or the spark, is created. And you can see, I'll try to not be so severe with the light, you can see right there between the cap and the rotor is the point where the points actually connect. And over here, well, I'll just pull the rotor off, that makes it easier. So there you have the points, and one of the issues that I had was, alright, up here I did not have this connected properly. So the way the bend comes around for the points here, it wasn't secured in behind this bolt well enough, so that was causing an intermediate spark issue. So I fixed that. I got constant spark, but I still had nothing igniting the air-fuel mixture. Why is that? That's because I had the distributor ignition timing 180 degrees out. And always don't forget to put your rotor back on. Another thing that I made sure to check was that I had power to the coil. Now on these cars, power to the coil, to the positive side of the coil, is 6 volts, and then it, which I don't understand, but that's okay. And then negative, you still have the ignition pulse. So a way you can check for ignition pulse at the coil is you take your test light. So you clamp your test light to the negative side of the coil and put your test light on the negative side of the battery. So what'll happen is as you crank, your test light will flash, which lets you know that you're getting pulsed signal to your back to your distributor, so, or from your distributor. Either way, you're getting pulse signal, which is what you want from your coil. Now, these cars also have a ballast resistor, which takes, so there's 12 volts on this side, 6 volts on this side, which sends 6 volts to the coil, and then it multiplies the 12 volt signal somehow through magic and probably gnomes that live inside the coil. So once I checked all those things, I knew everything was good. The one thing that I missed, ignition timing. Now, why did I miss the ignition timing? Because I didn't want to pull the valve cover. So the car has to be on a compression stroke. I thought with my thumb over the hole that I was getting compression stroke when I pulled number 1 spark plug. I didn't. I didn't have it right. And so we pulled the valve cover, checked where the valves were sitting, made sure both valves were closed, which lets you know you're on a compression stroke. And as soon as we put it all back together, it fired right up. So the Datsun runs. There's still a lot of things to do on the Datsun before it's roadworthy. I've still got to go through and, sorry, I had to go out and get a little fresh air for a minute. I still have to go through and do all the fluids. So we're going to go through all those things. We're going to go through changing the transmission fluid, changing the diff fluid, flushing out the brake system, flushing out the cooling system. After that, I've got a little bit of interior work. I don't even know if I've showed you guys the interior on this. It's a little scary. So it's really not bad until you get to the seats, and then underneath the dash, which I doubt you'll be able to see anything. Well, let's just say there's some mouse-made treasures still underneath the dash that I need to take care of. But you guys got to hear the Datsun run for the first time. I got to hear it yesterday, but that's actually the longest I've had it running, was about a minute and a half. Like I said, there's still a lot of stuff to do on this car, but the big hurdle of getting the car running, and I still haven't tried to put it in gear, rock the car back and forth, stuff like that, because I really need to go through the fluids and make sure, like, I still have clutch fluid, but I want to change all that before I go actuating all these other things. So but I wanted to give you guys a quick update and kind of give you guys some tips on, if you guys pick up a car that has been sitting for a long time, some of the things you can check to make sure that the car will run. It's all easy stuff. It's just you got to take your time and figure out where to get the information and read it correctly, which I didn't do. So someone else had to read it for me, basically, and give me the hand. But thanks so much to Josh for coming over and helping me get this car running, which allows me to focus on some other stuff right now. Focus, no pun intended. So I got to get to work on that car, but I got to get to work on the Rabbit. I got too many things going on. So that's it. Until next time, get out there and work on something.